my very special privilege, accompanied by the distinguished ladies and gentlemen standing around me, to officially commission the go live of the tax identity number registration system of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. For the benefit of the people of Nigeria and to the glory of God.
The Nigerian Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, unveils the new National Taxpayer Identification Number and Consolidated Registration System. In attendance are some illustrious Nigerians, including top officials of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, and members of the Joint Tax Board, JTB. It is yet another milestone in efforts by the JTB to ultimately cover the country's huge taxable terrain and give government more room to act in the development commitment it has made to the citizens. The FIRS, and by implication the JTB, has continued to expand the tax net and indeed increase its revenue yield year on year. What FIRS Executive Chairman Babatunde Fowler has been doing with his team has emboldened the Nigerian authorities to project a more robust expenditure profile for every budget cycle. Fowler wears a double cap here. He is also the chairman of the Joint Tax Board, JTB, which is unveiling efforts to give Nigeria a tax database that ranks with those in other climes where taxation has secured a definitive online pathway. So, as Vice President Yemi Osinbajo listed the advantages of the scheme being launched, there was no doubting the confident tone he opted for. It is all an indication that the country is getting a more solid footing on a revenue source which, rather than diminish like others, will keep expanding. This perhaps is the first beauty of taxation in the midst of many other advantages.
I'm very delighted to be here with you this morning at the launch of this very historic system and a very historic event itself, the new National TIN Registration System. The world, as I say, is constantly changing, and along with it, accepted ways of doing practically everything, including the management of economic and financial systems. As international boundaries dissolve under the reality of a globalizing world, and as financial and economic activities increasingly transcend geographical limitations, tax administration itself must of necessity continually adapt. Tax administration is built around data. Without credible and comprehensive data, an efficient tax system would simply be impossible. And to function optimally, tax systems have to be aware of the important statistics, the important data, the numbers of eligible individuals, the volumes of business, volumes of economic activities, the designs and strategies to take advantage of this available data are also crucial. And this is where the necessity for a proper identification of eligible taxpayers, whether they be individuals or corporate entities, comes in. A tax identification number is simply a vital instrument for uniquely identifying as well as registering new taxpayers and to bring them into the tax bracket. I thought the drama team did an excellent job of explaining just how important this is for every type of business, whether it is Chief's business or Alaji's business or Igwe's business, whichever business, every one of them must come into that tax bracket, and it makes life so much easier for everybody who is doing business, whether it's local or international. It gives the managers also of the national tax administration systems the capacity to conveniently and efficiently access and collect information from multiple sources.
Collecting information from multiple sources. This indeed was the process that created the TIN database being unraveled, and one which has been approved by President Muhammadu Buhari himself. As earlier hinted in our series, the job of paying tax, though statutory, is not one that everyone readily wants to undertake. There is always that desire to keep as much money as possible for one's use. But Fowler, in the past 4 years, has worked assiduously with the Joint Tax Board to let Nigerians know that paying tax is not just a civic duty, but one that is at the heart of transforming the lives of millions of the country's citizens. That indeed formed part of the message Vice President Osinbajo this time around took to the unveiling of the TIN database.
It forms the basis for projecting future revenues and for making realistic expenditure plans for governments. So the new TIN registration system will utilize existing data from a variety of authorized identity management agencies and help build a database that is reliable and verifiable. And just to elaborate a little more on that, at the moment we have data from corporate affairs, from the identity management systems, even from telcos, from telecommunications companies. All of that data is relevant for tax purposes. So what this does is that it brings all that data together in one particular system, which is our tax identification number. Every one of that data is now coordinated in one. So the ultimate outcome is increased revenues for government and, of course, the ease of doing business for practically every businessman or woman who must now be registered and who must now have an identification number. And this, of course, as you know, helps in every way to fund investments, social investments, human capital development, and more. I'm pleased to note that this new initiative aligns fully with the federal government's strategic objectives as contained in our Economic Recovery and Growth Plan and all of the other documents which are meant to power along Nigeria's economic development.
And as Nigeria makes good effort at attracting more foreign participation onto the country's business environment, the Vice President clearly emphasizes the relevance of a reliable taxpayer identification number TIN database in the scheme of things.
Mention must also be made of how this new TIN system supports our ease of doing business. I think we could emphasize this a bit more. The increased automation of tax systems simply frees up room for businesses small and large to thrive, away from the strictures of the unnecessary bureaucracy and all that. And I think we heard also from the drama system how this reduces the possibilities of discretion and the possibilities of petty corruption, people asking for money here and there. An easier operating environment will have positive implications for corporate bottom lines as well, and a positive impact on tax revenues. I think by all of this, what we seek to achieve is really to attract business, not just international business, even more importantly, local business. It is local investments that develop an economy the most. And if it's easy for the local person to do business, it becomes more attractive even for international businesses to come into the country. In the light of the foregoing, all the agencies critical to the optimal success of this initiative, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the National Interbank Settlement Systems, NIBS, the National Identity Management Commission, NIMSI, all of them have been directed by Mr. President to provide the fullest cooperation to the JTB, especially in the release of the relevant individual records. And I think that the Joint Tax Board, led by its chairman, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, all the partners and stakeholders who have made this possible deserve our commendation for this giant leap. The Nigerian business environment is the better for your hard work and your continuous innovation. Congratulations.
There is no doubt that Babatunde Fowler is happy. The FIRS executive chairman knows that even with the rising revenue the service keeps recording, a lot more tax opportunity still lies out there in the public domain, and by implication, more opportunity to provide government with revenue for national development. Prior to the commissioning of the TIN database by the Vice President, the Executive Secretary of the Joint Tax Board, Oseni Elama, had formally welcomed guests to the flag-off of what he fully described as the new National Taxpayers Identification System and Consolidated Database. The immense benefits of the scheme being launched was the crux of that welcome address.
The new TIN registration system and this consolidated tax database of individual and corporate taxpayer records have been designed to become the foundation on which the nation's automated tax administration system is built on. The new TIN registration system is a web-based solution offering access to authorized users to initiate TIN requests from the comfort of their offices or home, on real-time online, verify their tax status, and print their TIN certificates. It is a transparent system that assures timely and accurate collection and recording of basic identification data. It also permits the tax administrator to understand its taxpayer base for effective revenue projections and other planning activities. It is important to note that the new system leverages on existing data from relevant identity management agencies to reduce the burden of multiple registration of taxpayers. It promotes the ease of doing business and paying taxes. It also ensures a seamless integration and exchange of information among the various tax authorities within and outside Nigeria.
Elama's speech only procedurally preceded that of the JTB chairman, Babatunde Fowler, who shortly after took to the podium to firstly formally welcome guests as chief host, but to particularly emphasize the immense benefits of the new National Taxpayer Identification Number and Registration System.
It is indeed a delight to welcome Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and all other distinguished guests here today to this very significant event, which marks the official go-live of the new National Taxpayer Identification Number Registration System. Tax revenue administration in the 21st century has evolved into a systematic and deliberate process that is underpinned by the availability of accurate and reliable data. It entails deliberate and strategic planning initiatives, well-informed and adequately equipped tax revenue managers who drive the process both on and off the field. This new reality drives the desire by the JTB to ensure that the identification of individuals and corporate bodies in Nigeria is achievable. It is not only important that these records are available, it is equally important that records are credible and reliable, and that they're accessible under a secure environment, online, real-time. The role that data plays in today's world cannot be overemphasized. And for the revenue potentials of the country to be maximally harnessed, it is essential that credible and reliable data is available for use.
Fowler further underscored the relevance of credible data to the ease of doing business and to an economy intent on a conscious recovery and growth plan. There was also the benefit of now having a resource center for seamless exchange of tax information, even beyond the shores of Nigeria. But then, the FIRS executive chairman never rolls out a policy statement that doesn't have the taxpayer in mind.
This new system also provides immense benefits to taxpayers. The consolidated database, apart from providing a unique identity to taxpayers, also facilitates ease of compliance. It limits the incidence of double taxation and is a prerequisite for a number of transactions, such as sale and purchase of immovable property, registration of vehicles, applications for plots of land, import and export licenses, registration as a contractor, entry visas, among others. Ultimately, the system promotes the ease of doing business for both individual and corporate bodies. My deep appreciation goes to our partners, Corporate Affairs Commission, Nigerian Customs Service, Nigeria Immigration Service, Federal Road Safety, Central Bank of Nigeria, and the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, Nigeria Identification Management Commission, Nigeria Communications Commission, as well as our consultants for their cooperation and professional display of expertise that has made today a reality.
It is safe then to say that the efficiency of the new National Taxpayer Identification Number and Registration System hinges on a concert of digital data from Nigeria's foremost national and international institutions. Further demonstration of the benefits of the digital tax information pool came from the project manager, Adewale Adedokun, who called it the first national tax clearance database in the country. Details of the functionality of the system do indeed present a total overview of the tax performance of the individual or the corporate entity.
The system is available to tell the tax administrator that Mr. A has done so transactions with Nigeria Customs Service, and if the taxpayer is not giving the full information to the tax authority, the system is able to flash those things to the tax authority, the tax administrator, so that he or she can have enough adequate information. You sell a recharge card beside the road, but the Customs Service will return records of transactions which you have done, and the tax authority will be able to see you clearly. So there is visibility in the system. It will see you clearly that you are not really a recharge card seller, but you are more than that. You do importation and export. This system minimizes human errors during the audit process, as the tax administrator is empowered with more information at his or her disposal. It improves the knowledge base of tax officers. It improves the tax authority's response time to inquiries and complaints. It eliminates double registration of taxpayers. It is available by 24/7 every time. So at the comfort of the taxpayer's home or your office, you can actually request for TIN, and the tax authority will take it over from there. You will automatically get a taxpayer identification number. Unlike the current system, the old system where we expect to come around to the tax authority before we can provide the taxpayer. Now, like the Vice President has said, we are leveraging on this system with abundant data that resides in agencies like National Identity Management Commission, BVN, Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, Corporate Affairs Commission. For instance, Corporate Affairs Commission, as we speak here, is directly integrated with this system. And if you register in Corporate Affairs Commission now, before you walk out of the office of CAC, your data that the JTB needs, the JTB system needs to automatically generate taxpayer identification number for you, will be shared with this system, and automatically you will have a taxpayer identification number. So you do not need to visit the tax authority for you to get a TIN.
The new National Taxpayer Identification Number and Registration System comes across as one digital pool of mutual benefits. Some persons in attendance bear their minds on the system.
Personally, I've been part of the project. You know, the Internal Revenue Services of each state is a stakeholder in this project. And what we are going to get is that now we'll have a proper and verified database of all taxpayers in Nigeria. And that will ease our work, and it will also ease it for the taxpayers. And it's a very good development.
It means a lot to us in this organization. It simplifies our work as tax practitioner. You don't need to interface directly with the taxpayer at the comfort of the taxpayer's home. You can transact business. So it's tax efficient, and the basis of this taxation is to make it simple to every taxpayer, accessible and on point. So with this invention by the JTB chairman, that's our able chairman, Babatunde Fowler, he has really done a lot to make this thing happen. This is a really historic moment for every tax practitioner and Nigeria at all.
Tax administration in Nigeria has truly come a long way. The chairman, Joint Tax Board, Babatunde Fowler, is optimistic that with the launch of the online tax monitor, the TaxNet will advance from its current 20 million taxpayer base to about 45 million, knowledge of which could be partly responsible for the gratitude shown by the FIRS Coordinating Director, Domestic Taxes Group, and Special Advisor to the Executive Chairman, Abiodun Aino.
On behalf of the Chairman of Joint Tax Board, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, and other board members of JTB, comprising of all the state chairmen and FCT and other co-opted members of the board, we want to say thank you all for finding time to attend this epoch-making occasion. We appreciate the support of the federal government and our sister agencies that have made this day a success. We thank you very much for coming, and we appreciate your presence here today. We wish you safe passage on your return journey, and thank you all for coming. God bless you all.
Aino's words anchored the total feeling of a good day for tax administration in Nigeria. The Joint Tax Board might be the immediate beneficiary of the launch of the taxpayers database, but the final gain goes to the federal government, which stands to receive more tax revenue as the Nigerian taxpayer secures total digital identity.
Just like the gentleman that came to do what we call outro did say, with the JTB team that we're launching today, it gives us an assurance of a better Nigeria. This is one acronym myself and some other Nigerians have been propagating for over 30 years on television: the path towards a greater Nigeria. It gladdens my heart to say that we have one of our leading government parastatals, FIRS, and of course JTB, putting heads together to ensure that indeed, in reality, not just in words, that we evolve a better Nigeria.